Breaking into the notoriously stagnant luxury car market is not a decision a brand should take lightly. But surely, if anyone can tempt loyal luxury barge customers away, it's the people behind the people's car. Because after all, executives are people as well, apparently. Volkswagen were neither the first or the last to try. Ford and Vauxhall respectively had ditched their luxury offerings by the end of the 90s due to poor uptake. Renault's wacky offerings would last all of 18 months, and even up to the present day, brands like Infiniti and DS have failed to fly in the UK market. And in a £1 billion blunder, Volkswagen too failed to disrupt the luxury car market. Mainstream luxury, we just don't want it. But cheap luxury, hold my martini. Similar to the Audi A8 of the time, and perhaps like the Bentley flying spare it was based on, the Phaeton takes the restrained and sophisticated approach that only VW really master. Volkswagen did not just design a luxury car, they designed a luxury car. Over 100 patent applications were made for the attention to details in the Phaeton. Impossible targets set by a seemingly senile CEO, of whom the Phaeton was a brainchild of. Volkswagen threw the kitchen sink at this car, and then some. The exterior may deceive people slightly, but once you step inside, you are under no illusion. This ain't no Passat. Driver and passenger not only get their own individual ashtrays, but the design of them is to die for. More so than your Benson and Hedges. You don't simply just use these cup holders, you erect them. Good job we've got enough wood, isn't it? And it's proper timber as well, none of your gear shite. And don't just think all these features are afterthoughts and gimmicks, because they're not. The wood up here, for example, has been designed to conceal the air vents, even when they're covered, still radiate heat. Attention to detail, patents, kitchen sink, are you with me? Although there's a lot of Volkswagen switchgear, including a very dated infotainment system by today's standards, you do get the feeling that this was a unique design, and well, it was. It feels like everything has its place. It doesn't simply feel like they've took a Passat and crammed it with a load more toys. It's entirely thought out, very pleasing on the eye, and of course, very German. If this is what Uber exec is like, then I am missing out. So here we are in the back of the Phaeton, and I can honestly say that I don't think that I've ever felt so low down in my seat in the back of a big car. It's actually quite a nice sensation. These seats as well are also set quite back, so you can really sit back, and of course there is a lot of room to sort of slough about and put your feet under the seat. Of course, plenty of leg room if I'm sat up, at least. This seat being set for my chauffeur, who is also 6 foot, and headroom as well. You knew it was going to be good, and it is. On my way down here, I was really trying to second guess what I thought the Phaeton would drive like. It's very hard to get the ideology out your head of this being just a big Passat, because it's not. It's a lot more than that. I was thinking, I've driven a lot of Passats in the past. The 2-litre diesels, for example, are very smooth. The cars are very well put together. They drive nice. But obviously, the Phaeton has to offer a lot more. It's a lot bigger than a Passat, so that translates into having bigger engines. You could actually get a V10 engine when this car first came out, but that was sort of early 2000s time. A lot has changed since then, and we're in the more popular 3-litre V6 diesel, and even here doing just shy of 45 miles an hour, it feels like a hot knife through butter. I seem to just be gliding along effortlessly. And it's only really the harshest of potholes that the air suspension struggles to iron out. I also got to thinking, what type of person would actually buy one of these? It doesn't have an awful lot of road presence, as just proven by that Ford Focus not giving way. It doesn't have an awful lot about it. So I would imagine that the type of person that would buy one of these would be sort of older chap who really just wants a bit of luxury. And that's a good job, because although it feels very planted, very sort of like a safe pair of hands, the Phaeton, that's what it feels like to drive. It just feels like it won't let you down. It's not gonna get you into difficulty. You can sort of let it get on with its job, sort of thing, because it certainly doesn't feel fun to drive. I can't lie, I've never driven an Audi A8, I've never driven a BMW 7 Series, but I have driven a Mercedes S-Class, and although it feels very similar to this characteristically, it does just have that little bit of edge when it comes to miles per hour. However, if you do want a luxury limousine with pure driving pleasure, may I suggest the Jaguar XK. I did purposely want to take this out on the motorway just to see what it's like in its natural habitat, and it hasn't disappointed. There is a tiny little bit more wind noise than I would have hoped for in a car that costed over £80,000, but let me remind you, ladies and gentlemen, you can get one of these now for as little as £4,000, so you are easily impressed with what the Phaeton has to offer. The arse has fell out of the valuation on these so much that you really can't moan at a little bit of wind noise. You can't really moan at anything at all. Normally when I either own a car or I review a car, there's always something that sticks out that just annoys me a little bit. But with this, it doesn't actually have any downsides. There is nothing that really annoys me. There's just certain little things where you're like, oh, okay. For example, an old-fashioned foot handbrake. Maybe that's to do with not interrupting with the design of the interior. I suppose the only disadvantage is, despite it being a Volkswagen, you are no longer driving a people's car. So reliability may not be what you expect. When you own a car with air suspension and motors to cover the air vents and things like that, it's bound to be sooner or later that things start to go wrong. If you're trying to appeal to luxury limousine customers, even at a discounted price tag, they clearly, as the Phaeton and others have proved, would rather dig a little deeper and get something with a much more desirable badge. And for the cheap luxury market respectively, which is awash with bargains, most people would also prefer something with a more premium badge. In terms of engineering and luxury, the Phaeton is fantastic, but my opinion is the same as those of when it was new. At best, it's a fat Passat. At worst, it's a lemon. See you next time.